Good morning and welcome for your dose of Mojo with Misha Lee. And of course, my name is Misha Lee. Thank you so much for jumping on really quick. I appreciate you guys stopping in. Today is Tuesday and we're about to pop off a little bit of motivation for this week and get it popping. And I couldn't think of any better way to share some motivation than the one thing that helped me the most. Everything that I talk about on the Moja show is just my life experiences when it comes to business, love, life, family, and the things that I experienced and how I overcame them and how I daily deal with stuff. But I find that, believe it or not, I used to always have this mentality where I thought that I was the only person going through. Nobody was going through what I was going through. Nobody could understand what I was going through. I had this crazy mentality that I was like out on this island all by myself, and I'm the only person in the whole wide world of everything going through anything that I'm going through. And it wasn't until I started doing hair like 30 years ago, like in my salon, that I started to meet people who had very similar. Well, at first, I was meeting people that didn't have stories like mine because my story wasn't fully developed. And some of you right now, where you are right now, that's Fred Hammond. Give me a clean heart. Some of you right now, where you are in a process and you're in a place where your story hasn't fully developed yet. Your story hasn't developed yet. Good morning. Thank you so much for jumping in, everybody. Your story hasn't developed yet. Thank you for coming in, Tisha. Hey, Chandra. Hey, everybody. But your story hasn't developed yet. And it's really interesting that all of us are living right now. And this COVID and pandemic and quarantine and what we're going through is a part of your chapter of your life. But like a lot of people, like I said, 30 years ago, when I first got in the beauty industry, my story hadn't developed yet. And I didn't really understand some of the things I was going through. So it was really tough for me to try to quantify and understand and say that what I was going through or what I dealt with was fair, or that, oh, all I could see, and it wasn't because I was trying to play the victim, but I felt like a victim. I felt like that, like God literally had pointed his finger out and said, get her, get her, get her, get her, get her. Not realizing that what he was doing, he was building a foundation, he was building a storyline. And so for a really long time, like the topic said, no regrets, I did have a lot of regrets. I had a lot of regrets with the type of relationships that I connected with the relationships that I chose to be a part of. I had regrets as far as the choices I made when I got out of high school. I had regrets on, how I wish I could have provided for my children in a different way. I just had like a whole list, laundry list of regrets. And and listen, here's a key thing about that. It wasn't that they were so hemmed up in me saying every day, I regret, I regret, I regret, but I was angry. And a lot of times the display of regretfulness is anger. You get angry. You'll walk around and you try not to have that mentality. But Ephesians 4:26 tells us not to let that it's okay for us to be angry, but don't let your anger cause you to sin. And don't go to sleep. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. And so I had to go look that up. I said, okay, God, I done been mad about a lot of stuff, and I've been mad about a lot of things when it comes to my life. And when you talk about regrets, you're talking about missed opportunities, losses. I felt like that I had given up a lot of my time into situations that just didn't pay me back and that didn't pan out. I felt like I had, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm just gonna use the words that I use to explain to myself. I just felt like I had wasted so much of my life trying to help somebody else build something, or try to help somebody else be something, or try to support somebody else, or be there for somebody else, and then nobody was there for me. And for most of the part, up until not too long ago, I still felt that way. I'm like, why am I always the person that have to show up for everybody? Nobody have consideration for me. I mean, honestly, even when it came to like my clientele, I was just like, they don't care whether I'm sick. They don't care whether I have a bad day. They don't care whether I get up in the morning and I'm tired because I've been running up and down the road trying to make sure that I'm always A1. And I am a high octane person. I never function at half mast. I'm that type of person that when I'm on go, I'm always on 100%. There's never no 60, 70, 80% where a lot of us can kind of balance it out. It's like for me, it's no balance. It's like I'm 100%. I'm all the way in. I'm like I'm on full go. Let's go all the way hard. My children even told me this, Mama, calm down. but I'm either on or I'm off. And so I built a stockade, and I built a reservoir of regrets that had turned and fueled the anger of missed opportunities. I felt like, if I'd have done this, I could have done this. And I didn't realize that I was beating myself up. But whenever I was taking that anger and using it as fuel, which is what a lot of us do, we'll take that anger or that feeling that we have, and we'll use it to fuel another part of our life. I'm like, well, I'm not going to miss it this time, so I'm going to go, 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 go. So it makes you go hard. And so it's kind of like a good, bad thing, because it's good that it can motivate you to do something more positive with yourself from the lesson that you learn. Remember the lesson that you learned, the lesson that you learned, the lesson that you learned, not the loss that you incurred, the lesson that you learned, because it is most certainly a lesson. And I realize that now, but at the time it felt like a loss. And so the disappointment and the regrets fueled anger, because I was like, I missed that opportunity because of them. Had they act right, if they'd have just done this part and done that part, things would have been better. If they'd have just held up their part, because I held up my end of the deal. And that pushed me into a place where I had become wrathful. I was going to bed, sleep. Ephesians 4:26. Be ye angry, let not your anger cause you to sin, and do not let the sun go down on your wrath. And so I said, okay, God, I said, no, I got all this pent up frustration. I ain't want to deal with, women will go through that stage. I don't want no man. I'm good. I ain't got time for the drama. I just need to focus. You just want to be by yourself. And I actually heard one of my daughters say that recently. And I was like, babe, that's not even a good space to be. It seems safe, but what you end up doing is, instead of you putting yourself in a place where you think you are protecting yourself and keeping yourself from all harm and danger, you begin to build walls around yourself. See, regrets have a lot. See, the reason that you can't have any regrets is because those regrets, what I've seen it do to me and people that I know, it causes you to build a fortress around yourself. While you're really building it to protect yourself, you're trying to make sure that you can control your environment, make sure that if somebody come in here looking at you sideways, you be like this. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That's how you looking at them. You get what I'm saying? So you think that you build in this fortress, you got your money, you got your job, you got your family put in place. Everybody's playing a position and you got yourself in this little place. But really what you're doing, you locking yourself in. You locking yourself into a smaller space that even at some point for me, I have blocked God out. Not intentionally, but I have, because see, God is the type of God that when you fall down, he wants you to we fall down, but we get up. He that type of God, when you fall down and you need to get back up, he wants you to get back up and try again. If our children, when they trying to learn how to walk, none of us want to see our children learn how to walk and they falling on the floor and they don't get back up. That's gonna bother us. We're gonna be like, oh, what's wrong with my baby? My baby ain't getting up trying to learn how to walk. We just automatically feel like it's natural for a child to learn how to walk and fall and get hurt, scuff their knee. I don't know if any, I'm from the country and we used to get on bikes and ride down the hill, and we would have contests to see who can make the longest skid mark. If y'all know nothing about skid marks, you don't know nothing about riding on bikes. But we would do that. And I was so determined to always win because I was so low key. I still got a scar to this day from winning a competition with the longest skid on my grandma dirt on a bicycle. You get what I'm saying? So you develop a disposition where you have a wall and you block yourself in to make yourself safe. That anger festers into a wrath. And when I looked up the word wrath is an intense anger. I mean, it's intense. It's one of those things that's beyond just regular anger. Anger means that you've been done wrong, disapproval, you're annoyed, you're frustrated with the situation that you're going through. But when your anger turns into wrath, it's on a whole nother level. That's when you get the backstab and the people being vindictive. You got your best friend that turn around and sleep with your man, or your man that turn around and sleep with your girl. That's when people are operating in wrath. Wrath will have you doing all kinds of things like that. And all of that is founded on having regrets. Because anytime somebody do you wrong, it's natural. Listen to me. You're human. You're human. Anytime somebody do you wrong, do you dirty, overlook you, steal an opportunity from you, take an opportunity from you, make you catch an L. Anytime somebody do that to you, it is natural. It is natural for your mind to want to retaliate. It takes training, and it takes a humongous amount of self-control and humility not to hold something against somebody. But what regrets do, you not only hold stuff, you identify that person with that particular thing that they did to you. And I know a lot of us have done that. I know I have. I see somebody like, yeah, I remember that time you did this. You get what I'm saying? And you'll put that on them like, girl, yeah, let me introduce you to my friend, girl. She's so fine. She's good, girl. I just love her. Me and her, we down. Yeah, girl, she down. She's a rider. She's a rider. And your ex-friend walk in that slept with your husband or your man, you be like, that's your friend. Mm. Okay, hey girl. Hey, how you doing? Fine. How you? We get in that right there. You get what I'm saying? Because you identify them with what they done. But as we mature and as we grow, whether we growing in just in God, whether we growing as a woman, we growing as a relationship, whatever it is that you need to grow in, you got to grow to a space where that regret, that disappointment, that loss, that hurt, that pain, you got to learn how to put that thing in perspective. And what I had to learn how to do was this, and I'm gonna close out, is when somebody would offend me, hurt me, do something, or when I had a missed opportunity or loss, I'm talking about I'd be mad as fish, I'd be hot as fish grease on the 4th of July. For real, just mad. Like mad fighting mad, and that would turn into something, and I would just have a complete disdain for the person, or I would completely not even want to get in another situation like that, and I would completely shut down. But then I had to realize, and this is where God dealt with me, and this is what I challenge you to do, is I had to look at that thing. Hey, everybody over there on Facebook, thank you for sharing, and make sure y'all join Morning Moja Warriors. That's a group that I'm starting with, that I've already started. Send your invitation, request in, and I'll let you jump in because we get deeper into stuff over on that side. But listen, and I had to realize, and God told me, He said, I cannot move you forward. And listen, this is for all of y'all, because right now we're in a space where we're having to look over our lives. We're having to look over our business, our finances. We're having to recalibrate everything. I mean, the going consensus is the way that we done business, for those of us that are business owners, of course, we can't do business like that anymore. We get it. We understand. And it's changes that's having to happen and that we're having to adjust. But it's still a lot of things that we look and think, man, if I'd have done this 5 years ago, whenever God told me to, this is what would happen. Or if I'd have started this 2 years ago when God told me to do it, this would have happened. Or if I had never got in that situation with that person, I would have this money right here. Or I hate that I went and bought this. Whatever your grade is, the reason it's important for you to not stay in that place, because that regret is the only thing that keeps regret alive is your anger. Anger fuels your regret. It fuels it. And if you stay in an angry place for a very long time, the Bible gives you instruction. I told you, Ephesians 4:26, to not let the sun go down on your wrath. And that was very important because God understands this, that it doesn't take much for our emotions to develop a seed of bitterness, a root of bitterness. And when you get in wrath, when you get on that level of anger, hate, and disdain, you begin to block out opportunities. You begin to block out people. You begin to block out a lot of things that can come and help. You might miss this opportunity to get that promotion right here. Your job, they overlooked you because now y'all working at home, so whoever can stay up the latest, usually this person's gonna get the promotion. And so this person get the promotion, and you know that this person isn't better than you, but you have to go to bed because you at home teaching your kids. You trying to be a teacher at home with your children and do your work online. They get the promotion, so you get angry, you get upset about that thing. What happens is you get upset. Something happens to you. Something happens to you or somebody, you get angry. You get very angry about that because it's a missed opportunity. It's a wrong, something that went wrong. You stay angry about that. You talk about what they did. Oh, yeah, they did this. They dirty, they dirty, they dirty, they dirty. And you begin to build up that wrath on the inside of you. And in building up that wrath, you build up a momentum that you start having an extreme disdain and hatred towards people. This is how people get into hate, because they focus so much of their energy on the way that they feel wronged, not realizing that it's taking you down a deeper, deeper, darker road, and nobody wants to go there. And so what I had to do and what God had me to do, He said, I need you to tear down these walls. I need you to get out of this stockade that you've built around your emotions, around your vulnerability, around everything that you got around your life, because you have built such a fortress that I can barely get in myself. And we don't do that on purpose. But sometimes we build God out instead of building God in. God is supposed to be, we're supposed to be building our relationship with him on a regular basis. But because we're going through all this hurt, pain, God, why you do this? Why this happened? And sometimes we don't question him. Sometimes we do. I mean, it's just human nature to do that. But we build him out, and it puts us in a place where we can't really see what's really going on. So I had to begin to extract myself, and I did not realize how deep I had gone. But the first layer that I started to peel off, I looked at the situation. I said, you know what? I was 18 years old. I didn't know what I was doing when I got married. And then I had to go back, and I had to go all the way back into my childhood. As much as I hate to admit, I am number one person to tell you, oh, you don't have to go to childhood to deal with your issues. You kind of sort of do, because you need to know why that happened. And when I started going back, I said, okay, this happened. Okay, from one of the situations I could tell you about, like with my dad. My dad and mom broke up. I probably was about in the third, fourth, fifth grade. I was really, really super young. And when they broke up, that just tore me apart. And to this day, I have a disdain for broken families, even though I've been married and divorced twice. Just very, very hurtful. But it pushes you to be a particular type of person. So for a long time, that fueled a whole lot of issues in me that I didn't realize. And it wasn't until God, and this particular thing is the end of my last piece of my brick on my wall. That's the I done broke down so many walls, but that last little piece that I just couldn't kick, I was like, God, why can't I let this go? What is this? What is this disdain? What is this? What is this strong feeling of regret that I have that I'm walking around with, and I really can't figure out what it is? He said it comes from that feeling of abandonment. I said, abandonment. I said, well, people come and go. He said, no, think about it. I had to go all the way back and remember that feeling that I felt when I seen him drive off. I remember the feeling that I felt when I used to sit on the porch and he didn't show up and say he was going to come. I remember the feeling that I felt when I used to sit beside the window, and because my mom didn't want to hurt my feelings and tell me that he wasn't going to come, because even though she know he told her to tell us we was coming, she knew he wasn't going to show up because she already know he was doing something else and wasn't even thinking about us. And how many nights I sat by that window, holding onto my sister's foot, promising her that I was going to wake her up as soon as daddy come. Let me tell you something. It's a lot of things that you can do wrong. Be careful how you do children, because that stuff like that really stick with them. And I remember those nights. And in those nights, there was a lot of pain and anger being built up in me then, because for a long time I blamed myself. I thought it was something I had done. I'm 52 years old, and it's crazy that I can even tell you exactly how that feels, because whoever never even thought about it. It didn't even cross my mind, but I knew I was walking around here dealing with some regrets, and the regrets that I've been dealing with have held me back, because regrets produce so many other emotions. Matter of fact, it made me fearful of being close to people. It made me fearful that when I got close to people, they had to be somebody special. And so now that this special person gets close to me, if they abandon me and hurt me, then something is really wrong with me. You get what I'm saying? It's like it fuel one thing after another. In the bedroom. What you need? I'm about to get my check so I can go pick up David. Okay. We're gonna come back. Okay. Because he's okay. So anyway, just fuel, knock on the door. But it just fueled like fear and just a whole lot of stuff. Fearful to talk to people. Like most of y'all don't know, I used to be so scared to step out and talk to people that I felt were higher than me or had more going on than me, because if they did anything or said anything that I felt like was rejection, it would shut me down. But all this come from that little girl sitting by the window waiting for her daddy to show up. And when he didn't show up, in her mind, because my mom, she was just trying to be loving. She didn't say nothing. She's like, well, maybe he got busy. Never talked down on him. But in my mind, what she said didn't make sense, because I know my daddy loved it, so it must be something that I done. Am I not pretty enough? What's wrong with me? And then, and this is no tea, no shade on anybody, he ended up marrying a white woman. And Bonita was a very nice woman. She tried to be very nice to me and my sister. She tried to love on us. But that even put more shade on it, because I'm like, oh, I'm the wrong color. So that's what's wrong with me. Oh, wow. So I'm too dark, Oh, so I'm not as pretty as them. So that, I mean, like, it just built a whole lot of stuff. The moment that I went back there and I had to talk to my fifth grade, fourth grade year old self and tell myself, listen, your dad might have had some issues going on. And I did later find out he had some personal issues going on. that prevented him, and he made very poor judgment based off of, drinking and just the lucid behavior and the type of lifestyle he was living. Thinking about your kids was definitely not nowhere on his radar. You know what I'm saying? He had lost a lot other than just a family. As an adult, I can see, and I looked, I said, wow. I said, how disappointing or embarrassing was that for him? Not trying to rationalize the behavior, but now I can understand and say, you know what, that wasn't towards you. It didn't mean that you wasn't pretty. He married her because of this, or whatever the reason was, but it had nothing to do with your beauty, because you have somebody that tells you how beautiful you are, how wonderful you are. And so when I did that backtracking, and this is a process of having no regrets, I began to look across my life and I began to reach out to people. Look, I'm sorry that I shut you out. I didn't mean to do this. I apologize. I didn't go into great detail. I was able to get some ask for some forgiveness on things on my behalf. And it was at that point that I began to look at my life from then until now and realize that there's no reason to have regrets. When I realized that there's no reason to have regrets, because everything that I went through, everything that I experienced was it was a lesson to be learned in that. Some of those lessons I just got the revelation of since I've turned 50. Some of the revelations I got a lot sooner. But the great thing about it is that the moment that I was able to release that last little brick that was standing in my way, and not have no regrets. Now I'm not afraid to make decisions. Now I'm not afraid to mess up. Now I'm not afraid of failure. Now I'm not even afraid of rejection. Come on. Y'all don't, I'm serious. This is some real stuff. Now I'm not afraid of you telling me this ain't where you want to be. Okay. Well, I wish it could have worked. I do love you and I care about you, but that's fine. So now I'm going to take what I've learned in that, and I'm going to make me a better me, and I'm gonna let you go do what you do. And guess what? At some point, I'm gonna meet somebody that loves this version of me right here. And the lessons that I learned that I may have messed up with you, I can get it right with them. And so it created in me a more positive outlook on how to do things. Even right now, a lot of us as beauty professionals, salon owners, makeup artists, hairstylists, nail technicians, barbers, massage therapists, a lot of us are at a space right now where we already figure they're not going to let us go back to work this month. They just dripping it, dripping it, dripping it, so that we don't get frustrated and so that the government don't get shut down. And again, because if they tell us the truth that we're not going to really be functional until August, that's going to drive everybody crazy. I don't even, 4th of July is RIP. Any public function that's going to try to happen between now and July is absolutely it's just such a risk of people getting really, really sick. I got a report last night that in Louisiana, I'm thinking that cases are going down. They skyrocketing in certain areas. People are getting sicker, sicker, and sicker because everybody want to be free. Everybody want to get outside. I get that. So as beauty professionals, a lot of us have regrets because we wish that we would have had certain things in place. You got people who have, for instance, I got people who've been making wigs since I known them. Now everybody's making wigs. I took my wig making class last year because it was something I wanted to add to what I'm currently doing. But now I see the value of why I took the wig making class with the sewing machine. I thank you, God, for giving me that, because now I can service the people that I know and make wigs for them and customize their wigs and make them fit well. So at the end of the day, we all have things that we can be regretful of, but you want to stay in that space that you don't have no regrets. Even when it comes to the relationships, the people that you be, even if it's stuff that you have done to people, you got to learn to forgive yourself, because you not forgiving yourself isn't helping you at all. You not forgiving yourself for the things that you done. I had to forgive myself for a lot of stuff, because with that whole snowball effect of where my mind was, I actually began to, when they say hurt people, I begin to shut out people that really wanted to be there for me and love me, out of fear that these people are people who might try to hurt or harm me. Wow, you guys are blowing up these comments. Thank you so much. Hey y'all, how you doing? Right, exactly. We all have been there. Exactly. Right. One person says, I love this so much because I was dealing with regrets and I didn't know where to start to get out of this. And all it did was make me angry and angrier every day. Now I'm in a place where I really understand that I need to go back and look at the things that I've been through, because I've been holding things for so very long that I didn't know how to free myself. You know what? And it's not easy for us to free ourselves. It really isn't. And if you got something that you want to share, make sure you put it in the comments, because listen, you don't know who's going to read your comments. And I encourage this all the time, to make sure that when you get on my posts, anything that I do, make sure you put comments in there, because somebody else is reading it. And what you might say may help them. I might miss it because I'm here, I'm actually talking, I'm looking at about 3 different screens. But the truth of the matter is, you can't live with regrets. Unforgiveness, living with unforgiveness and regrets, that's 2 things that you want to stay away from. And what I learned when it comes to that is that there's nobody's perfect. Hey, Sierra, how you doing? Hey, Miss C, Tony's wife, Ivana, Shafanda, Frida, Amina. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, get everybody. Hey, Experience Excellence over on Instagram. Hey, Miss Shaw. But the truth of the matter, you got to get out of regrets, guys. Your regrets are fueled by your anger, disappointment, the missed opportunity, something that somebody had done to you. And oftentimes it's very seldom that your regrets are solely based off of you alone. Typically, it's you, that you made a decision to do something. You made a decision to allow somebody into this part of your life, that you made a decision to trust somebody, that you made a decision that you was going to let somebody in the door that you felt kind of shady about, like, I don't know if I'm going to let them in, but you let them in anyway, and they do exactly what you was afraid they was going to do. I get all that. I get the fact that we feel like that's the situation that we deal with, but you still can't allow that regret to fester. You can't allow that. And when somebody makes you upset, when somebody does you wrong, when people put you in a position where you find yourself getting angry and angry, and see, this is the unique thing about anger. Anger undiffused gets into it, it boils into a bigger fire. So you have to learn, and you have to begin to work on yourself step by step, day by day. I was a part of 48-hour prayer vigil this weekend. Very life changing, altered a lot of things for me, and opened up some doors for me that have been closed for a very, very long time. And I want to tell you, the first thing that you have to do, the first thing that I did was I had to humble myself. I really did. And when I say humble myself, I don't mean put myself down and say, oh, well, you messed up. Because listen, I used to be hard on myself just like that. It wasn't one of those things where I was like, oh, you messed up. You shouldn't have did this. You was crazy for allowing this. No, it's a lesson learned. I learned something out of this. Okay, that wasn't the person I clearly needed to be with, or that wasn't a car I really should have bought. That wasn't the place that I needed to go. We all make those kind of decisions, but you have to believe and trust in yourself that you're capable of making decisions. I used to always say, I can help everybody in the world, but my man picker is broke. I don't know how to pick a man for myself. I used to say that all the time, and I found out that wasn't true. I found out that that wasn't true. That not only can I pick a great man for myself, but sometimes I have to give myself, once I got out of the fear, once I got out of the regret, once I took the walls down around me, I have to allow myself to be able to be happy with somebody. Because what I done is I built the walls like, oh, I just can't pick the right man. Oh, I just always pick the wrong man, the wrong man, the wrong man, the wrong man. No, there was nothing wrong with that. I just wouldn't let myself be loved. And a lot of you out there, just like I am, how I was, you got to allow yourself to be loved. You don't need to be superwoman every single day. You don't need to be your husband hero every single day. Sometimes it's okay for him to be Superman. You don't have to walk around with your cape on as mom all the time because you got the kids and your boyfriend ain't doing what he's supposed to do. It's okay for you to hang your cape up and just be mama. It's okay. You don't have to be super duper every single day. And it's okay for you to let somebody love you the best way that they know how. That's the second thing I had to learn. And this was more helpful to me when it came to getting frustrated, getting angry, and regretting that I may have connected myself with somebody as a friend or as a colleague, because you don't have my work ethic, you ain't on my level, and this is what I do. I go hard, I push hard, and it just messes me up that I done connected with somebody. I got to push, pull, and drag. That all has a place, but the truth of the matter is, you have, as a leader and as a person who is trying to grow something, you have to find out what people have inside of them and put it in the space that it's supposed to go in. A lot of times what I would do is I would find people and I see their potential, and I'm like, hey, come on, boy, let me get you to work with me. And I would take those people and I would put them in positions, but I would put them in positions and ask them to do things that it just didn't fit with them. Even though I can clearly see in my eyes that they're capable of doing this, they can't see it. And guess what? If they can't see it, you trying to put them there, it's not gonna make it happen. They got to get to a space. They got to find their own way around where they can see, okay, this is something I really can do. This is something that's really for me. And putting people in place where they can fit, where they can, where they got where they talents and gift can work at its best. I had to learn when it comes to relationships, even though I have an understanding of what type of love I want and need, that may not all come from one person. If I'm going to be in a relationship with somebody, I have to, the type of love that they're able to give me and the way that they know how to love is the type of love I have to be okay with, because you can't force somebody to be a certain way, and everybody don't love the same way. That's why they always tell you find somebody that have very similar backgrounds, because it's a lot easier for you to kind of flow that way. But guess what? Just because it's easier don't mean it's better either. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble on. Thank you guys for jumping in. I appreciate the comments. Make sure the comments, likes, love, and shares. Make sure that you share this with somebody you know that need it. I'll be back on a little bit later on today to talk to you guys that's in the beauty industry about some things that you can do, money making activities that don't require any money, or very low cost things that you can do to make money, which are some of the things that I'm currently doing now. Make sure you go over and join your Mojo Warriors. Now, listen, if you're somebody who's not about work, not trying to be active in the group, that's not going to be the group for you. You can go over to 1 Million Stylish Strong if you're in the beauty industry. But people who are really looking for change, people who are really looking for a way to have a new outlook on life, come on and join the Morning Mojo. Excuse me, the Mojo Warriors, because we're all about action and getting things done in that group. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you coming through and sharing my posts. I will see you guys tomorrow morning for a little bit of optimism. My name is Misha Lee. You can follow me across all social media as Misha Lee or The Misha Lee, and you can go to themishalee.com. Drop me your email address, and I'll put you on my mailing list. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.